Hey there YouTubers, it is Sunday, June 22nd, 2014, and in today's video we're going to show you how to assemble a new bicycle. You may be asking yourself, well, why do I need to assemble a bicycle? I can just buy it assembled, which is true in most cases, but if you do buy it online, you're going to have to assemble it. So instead of paying somebody, anywhere from $40 to $100, depending on your area, depending on the bike shop, you can do it yourself for nothing, so why not? We'll be showing you the basic tools that's needed. Now it should work just about for any bike out there. Keep in mind this is just a basic bicycle. It's just something that my wife wanted me to pick up for her to cruise around with the grandson. So there's no gears, there's no handbrakes, anything like that. Now if you did have gears or handbrakes, there's a little bit more assembly involved. But this video should give you the basic steps to just assemble the everyday bike, whether it be a kid's BMX bike, maybe a cruiser for yourself, anything like that. And that's what this is here, is a cruiser. Now this is just a cheap Walmart bike. It's only 88 bucks. So pretty good savings there, especially if you assemble it yourself. It's just a Huffy, nothing special. And we'll open it up in just a moment and show you all the contents and all that. But this also could be helpful, depending on the store. I'm the kind of person that likes to build everything myself. Even if it's free assembly, I want to do it myself. So that is an option. Now, not all stores will allow you to buy a bicycle unassembled. Some won't, some will. Some bike shops just won't let you do it. They just absolutely not. Now, like Performance Bike, which is an hour or so away from me, I don't believe they let you buy them unassembled. Could be wrong, but you can buy from their website and you could get it unassembled, shipped directly to your house. So this could be helpful for you as well. If you do like to tinker and you've never built a bike, and say, hey, I want to do it myself, so I know, if something goes wrong, how to fix it. And that's another good point. So, not only do you save money, but you're also, you know how to repair the bicycle in case something would happen to happen. And that's my main reason, is, I do like to know how everything works. I don't want to be left in the dark. Anything, the wheel's loose. I mean, some people just do not know how to do that. So first thing you want to do is obviously take it out of the box. So we're going to go ahead and do that off camera. We'll take it out of the box and we'll lay everything out. Actually, we'll open it right here. This is freshly cracked, and you can kind of see it's really, depending on the bicycle, but most of them come this way. And we'll show you what it looks like when it's shipped, and then we will take it out of the box. We'll break for that, but for right now, we will get you kind of out of the tripod here and just kind of show you how it ships. Take the zoom off. So there you go. You got the frame, usually the back tire, depending on the bike, but most does come assembled already. Front tire's off, handlebars and stem are off, seats off. So there's not a whole lot involved. I mean, it's really a lot easier than most people think. Now, some bikes do come a little bit more unassembled than this, but this is basically what you're going to get. Even if you buy a bike from eBay, I bought a lot of my mountain bikes from eBay, that kind of thing. Every bike's ever been shipped, it has shipped just about exactly like this. Front tire's off, rear tire's on, seat post is off, that kind of thing. So even if you're buying a used bike, this could be helpful for you if you're buying from eBay. Even when I ship bikes, I ship them the same way, because usually I'll go to the bike store, ask them if they have any used bike boxes, old bike boxes. I'll get those, and then that's how I'll ship the bike. You can see also there's not a whole lot of padding, virtually zero. I mean, you've got some cardboard around the stem or around the crossbar and whatnot, just to avoid scratches. But other than that, even when you buy a used bike from eBay, not a whole lot of packing you can really do. So we're going to go ahead, get this out of the box, and show you what everything looks like, and then we'll start assembling. So we'll be right back. Okay, we're back. We're going to install the front fender first, and it's pretty basic, although your bike may not have a front fender, so you can actually just skip this stuff. But one thing we need to make sure of is we want to make sure that our front fork is going the correct way. And you can see here, it's actually backwards. The forks are going this way. Well, they should be spun around this way. There we go. So now that we've got that corrected, we're going to go ahead and start putting our front fender on. Let's zoom in a little bit here. So as promised, per the instructions, see we've got our washer, screw, and nut right here. 2 washers. So you'll want to go ahead and put the fender in, slide it over, and then the screw and 1 washer go on this side, this end. Make sure you're lining everything up. There we go. And then a washer and the nut on the other end. And we're actually going to use the adjustable wrench and a Phillips head screwdriver because this is a Phillips head. You can also use a open-ended screwdriver, or a wrench rather. So we'll tighten that up. Now, just to make sure, I'm actually going to use, what is this, 10 millimeter? 10 millimeter. And it doesn't have to be that tight, but there. Next step, which we'll have to zoom out for, so you can get all this in the frame. Again, if you don't have a front fender, you can just fast forward it through this. So are the actual little braces here. And as with everything else on this bike, the screws are actually already in the fork. And again, they are Phillips. And they're in there pretty good. Feels like maybe the paint, the threads, there's some paint in the threads. So that's fine. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put the washer back on the screw. And also, I'm not using a bike stand because I do want to, show you can do this at home. And if you're, chances are if you're building a bike like this, you may not have a bike stand. And that's another reason why I kept, there's this little plastic insert for the axle. Kept that on here because that is kind of flat on the bottom and it will protect. There. Same thing with the other side. We'll screw that one in. And then we'll come back to the next step, which should be, we're just going to do it by the instructions. Next step should be putting it on the front wheel. Yes, it's putting it on the front wheel. So we're going to go ahead, finish up this little brace. We'll come back and we'll put the front wheel on. So stay tuned. Okay, we are back. We're getting ready to put the front wheel on, which is right here. Now a lot of front wheels, or a lot of front tires rather, have, they're directional. This one does not appear to be that case. So I don't see any arrows anywhere pointing the direction that it should go. So if it doesn't have a direction, it doesn't matter. First thing you want to do is loosen up the nuts, not all the way. There are some washers on here that have a little hook on them. Let's see if we can show you that up close. See a little hook right there? Well, that actually goes into the fork. So we're going to lift up the front of the bike. We're going to knock this piece out here. It's just plastic. There you go. We're going to slide the front wheel in. Now you're going to make sure you have these good and loose, because, and you may even have to take them all the way out in some cases, because you got to get that nut and that washer on the outside of the forks. And there you go. The actual instruction manual, it goes over that pretty well, so there shouldn't be a whole lot of concern with that. And what this does, there you go. Now I don't have the front fender tightened up all the way because I want to see how it lines up with the front tire. Because you can actually adjust it. And this is kind of, there we go, because these front fenders are pretty flexible. There we go. So once you've got that, you just tighten them down. And I'll show you where it hooks at just in a moment here. We're going to go ahead and get the kickstand down, because now we can actually, which the kickstand is supplied and already on there. So now we can set the bike up. And we will show you a close-up of these washers and where they go. So here's that washer. See, there's a hole in the fork there, and that little hook goes right there. So we're going to go ahead and tighten these up again with a just our adjustable wrench, and then we'll move on to the next step, which is probably going to be putting the handlebars on. You can see, I mean, they come almost completely assembled. So we will be right back. All right, and just as I guessed, the handlebars were the next piece of the puzzle. So here they are, the handlebars and the stem. Now keep in mind, this is a cheap bike, so these are the older style stems, where I'll show you how that functions in a minute, but the newer style actually wouldn't have the stem part. You would just have what they call the block, or just the stem that would mount onto the stem of the fork. Now the older style, or cheaper bikes, like in this case, they use this system, which has got an Allen head on this end. This is just one long screw, basically. Also, this is, I think, the only place you need that Allen wrench set for, by the way. So as you tighten this up, which is righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, as you tighten this up, the stem, see how it works there? So right now it's loose, but when it's in that tube, when you tighten it up, it kind of fattens it out, makes it wide. Kind of like an anchor in a wall, that kind of thing. Right now these handlebars are obviously in the down position for shipping purposes, but again, so this is nice and loose. You need it to be loose in order for it to be effective, to actually slide in the hole. You'll also notice you have some markings on the stem, and that is going to be your minimum height, or your maximum rather. So if you got it loose enough, it'll slide right in, just like that. That's all there is to it. And then you got to tighten it up, of course. And you don't want to make it too tight, but yet, because we got to adjust it later. But we'll go ahead and take our Allen, and we'll get it tight enough so it doesn't come out. So as I'm tightening this, basically this is pulling that wedge. So we've got it barely tight, but it's enough to lift up the bike. And that's exactly where we want it right now, because we don't need it any tighter than that. What I'm going to do next is move these handlebars up, which, let's get the camera moved. And to do that, obviously it's pretty basic. We've got one nut right here, so we're going to go ahead and take our open-ended, or our adjustable wrench here. So we're just using basic tools on everything. Would be a lot better with a gear wrench, I'll tell you that. And you'll also notice on the stem here, old style, on the bar rather, there's some grooves. That's to keep the handlebars from slipping. So wherever your desired position is, so this is for my wife, so that's probably about right there, I'm guessing. You can always adjust it. And as you tighten this back up, I'm too busy looking at the camera. There we go. So you tighten these to where you want them or need them. There you go. And it may work to actually have the person sit on the bike. So we've got it kind of tight, now we can kind of move them around. Now before you tighten up that Allen wrench, we're going to move the camera, so it's going to get a little... Sorry about that, I paused to move the camera there. Anyway, before you tighten up this, snug up this Allen all the way, you want to make sure the handlebars are straight with the wheel. So the stem is straight for the wheel. So if it's not, you could actually just move it like that. Or if you've got this kind of tight, you can go ahead and put the and it shows you in the instructions, put your knees on the wheel and then straighten it up that way. So whenever it looks pretty straight, so this area is straight with the tire. It's kind of hard to get on film. We're pretty straight now. We'll go ahead and tighten that up, and then we'll move on to the remaining steps. So we will be back. Now, according to this book, the next step is the rear fender, which it's exactly like the front. So take this disc off here. You've got your bolts there. It's actually already bolted right here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera because you've already seen the front. There's no sense in duplicating the whole thing to waste space. So we're going to go ahead and put that, get this all buttoned up, and then we'll move on to, I think it's the seat, and then I think the pedals are last, and then we're done. See, this is really easy. Stay tuned. All right, moving right along here. We've got 3 components to the seat. We've got the seat itself, we've got the post, and the reflector. We're going to put the reflector on, but we're not going to tighten it up yet. So to install the seat, you can see that the seat post has a different end on each end. Smaller end goes on the seat. Now here's the seat bottom. You've got this here, which is how you adjust the seat front to back and tilt. Now it's too tight right now for us to twist this, so I'm not sure if it explains this in the instructions or not, but first thing we got to do is loosen it up a little bit. There we go. See, now we can tilt that down. Go ahead and insert our seat post. And then actually what I'm going to do, a little different than the instructions, I'm going to go ahead and kind of see what angle I want to get it at. So what I mean by angle, we'll move up a little here, is this here. So it's easier to get that checkout angle out right here, and of course how far front and back you want it. It's easier to kind of put it in there temporarily. Now you can certainly put it in this way, but it's easier to tighten up those clamps on the outside of the bike. So once you've got the angle where you think you want it, go ahead and tighten each side of the post. So right here we're just counterclockwise, or clockwise rather, for tightening it, and do each side evenly. You don't want one side to be really tight and the other side's not. You want to kind of make them even. So once that's tight, it's not tight yet, but go ahead and try to see what it, or once it's starting to get tight, go ahead and make sure it's still in the right area that you want it, and then go ahead and crank it down all the way. I'm going to go ahead and tighten this up. I'm actually going to use the open-ended wrench, or my gear wrench, for the time being, just to save some video time. But you get the drift. I mean, it's not really cheap. It can be done with minimal tools, but when you're making a video, it's a lot easier. And actually, it's even a lot easier if you have a good set of open-ended wrenches. This happens to be a 14 millimeter. I mean, plug right along. But a gear wrench. So you got that side. And look at the thread, see how much is sticking out. There. We should be good and tight. Then we'll go ahead and put the reflector, slide it through, and then see about where we want the height to be of the actual seat. Now, to actually tighten the seat post into the frame, we're going to put this down all the way on this one. It's my wife. It's got this quick release lever. So we're just, here's the lever side. We're screwing in the other side to make the lever kind of tight. I haven't tightened quite tight enough yet. And I may have to adjust the seat in yet for my wife. Now this is, there. Not moving now. And then if you want to tighten up that reflector, now I'd go ahead and move it up all the way and get your Phillips head screwdriver. Not move it all the way, we'll get it kind of in the middle so you can see it. There. So we've got the seat on, reflector on. May have to still adjust the bottom of the seat or the angle of the seat. I think that's about right compared to her old bike. And it does have a spring on it, but to adjust that, you just loosen those up. You don't have to take the whole thing off and then just kind of adjust away there. So we're going to reposition everything and we're going to do the last step, which is putting on the pedals. Stay tuned. We are on the right hand side of the crank here and we're going to put on the right hand pedal. Now, believe it or not, pedals actually have a right and a left. They're usually marked, this one with a sticker, right. Maybe on the metal somewhere too, I don't quite see it. But, and it tells you the thread pattern. So the right one is going to go clockwise. It tells you to do that. Because believe it or not, I've seen a lot of people strip out the left-hand side because they're trying to tighten it on clockwise. Well, the left-hand pedal goes on counterclockwise. So for the most part, you can get a lot of this with your hand. And then when you get to the tight part, you really need to crank it down. Use your open-ended 15mm wrench, or you can use the adjustable wrench. So there's that side, and we'll reposition the camera here. Show you the left side. Left side, see, it's got a sticker, it says L, counterclockwise. And in this case, the left-hand side is ribbed too. So you can pretty much tighten it quite a bit with the hand. And the reason why they do this, so it's not, if you're pedaling this way, you have the potential to loosen that up if it's going the other way. So go ahead and crank this down. Doesn't have to be too terribly tight. There. And that is done. Complete bike. Again, with me yapping, making the video, it's probably going to be in the end about 10 minutes. 10 minutes of me talk, actually 8.5 minutes of me talking and 1.5 minutes of me putting the bike together. Might be a little bit of exaggeration, but you get the idea. So we're going to go ahead, clean up the mess a little bit, and then we'll show you what the bike looks like complete. So stay tuned. All right, in conclusion here, we've got the complete bike. One thing I did forget to mention, last thing you want to do is put air in the tires. So I did forget to mention that because they come with a little air, but definitely not enough. Even for a very light rider, there's not enough air in there at all. And they do that for packaging purposes. So there you have it. You know, again, basic cheap bike. But $82, I think is what we spent, shipped, free shipping. $82 for a new bike, no matter if it's a Huffy or whatever, you know, is a steal. My road bike, you know, it's a couple $1,000. And honestly, I probably, yeah, I could ride that one further, but other than that, there's, you know, if you put some gears on this, I'm not going to be able to tell the difference. I'm not a pro. I mean, I can tell the difference, but, you know, you get the drift. So for 82 bucks, you know, if somebody really needed a bike, an adult or somebody like that, and you know, as a gift, you put it together for them, I mean, to me, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, less than $100 new bike, or you can buy a used bike. You know, this may show you how to tune up, you know, to put together a used bike, you know, piecing it together. But hopefully you learned something. Hopefully it wasn't too boring. And hopefully if you do decide to buy a bike, now you'll have the confidence to put it together. You know, if it's unassembled, of course. Anyway, that's going to do it. If you have any questions or comments, post those below, subscribe, and thanks for watching.